My favorite thing to do on Twitter is to piss off Tulsi stans by pointing out how incredibly right wing she is and how disingenuous her progressive leanings are. Because, yeah, like, people refuse to look at her voting record because, oh, she supports Medicare for all. Kinda? Does she? I don't know. She seems to be very wishy-washy on it. Mm. And, oh, she's the anti-war candidate. Kinda? Except drone warfare? And, oh yeah, there's that weird thing that everyone called a false flag because, oh, she likes the Hindu nationalist, at the time he was running for president of, or prime minister, I think, of India. Narendra Modi. It's like, no, she doesn't support him. She doesn't support a Hindu nationalist and a Hindu nationalist group. No, not at all. You know what's coming. Over the weekend, Tulsi Gabbard says mahalo to Narendra Modi.
Aloha and namaste. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Prime Minister Modi on his latest visit to the United States. And I'm sorry that I'm not able to join all of you there in person due to previously scheduled presidential campaign events in Iowa. But I'm really glad to see so many Indian Americans from all across our country, as well as many of my colleagues in Congress, coming together there. Now, India is the world's largest democracy and one of the United States' most important partners in the Asia-Pacific region. Our two nations must continue to work closely together if we are to address the pressing issues that impact us and the world. Issues like combating climate change, preventing nuclear war and nuclear proliferation, and improving the economic well-being of our people. So as we build a strong and lasting partnership between our two nations, focusing on areas of economic growth, wealth and opportunity, inequality, science, health, the environment, security, and counterterrorism, we can bring about the ideal of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, recognizing that everyone on our planet, we are all one family. There is no place for hate or bigotry, ignorance, and prejudice. Let us work together to usher in a 21st century of aloha, respect, care, and love for others, no matter a race, religion, ethnicity, caste, economic status, or political affiliation.
Hey, Bradley Kingston, thank you for the YouTube subscription. So you might have noticed that I was Googling some stuff regarding Kashmir. That whole thing about avoiding nuclear war and avoiding extended wars. It's pretty funny. The Indian government revoked the special status accorded to Indian-administered Kashmir in its constitution, the most far-reaching political move on the disputed region in nearly 70 years. A presidential decree issued on August 5th revoked Article 370 of India's constitution that guaranteed special rights to the Muslim-majority state, including the right to its own constitution and autonomy to make laws on all matters except defense, communications, and foreign affairs. In the lead-up to the move, India sent thousands of additional troops to the disputed region, imposed a crippling curfew, shut down telecommunications and internet, and arrested political leaders. The move has worsened the already heightened tensions with neighboring Pakistan, which downgraded its diplomatic relationship with India. India and Pakistan claim Kashmir in full but rule in part. Claim Kashmir in full but rule in part. I'm sorry, I blew that sentence apart. The nuclear-armed neighbors have sought 2 of their 3 wars over the disputed territory. A rebellion in Indian-administered Kashmir has been ongoing for 30 years. What did she say about avoiding nuclear war? Doesn't Pakistan have nukes? Ah. What about India? Ah. So she's doing her best to avoid nuclear war by supporting a guy who is basically trying to annex a Muslim controlled region, imposing curfews, killing leaders, jailing them, cutting off their internet, cutting off their communications entirely, which is pissing off a neighboring country that also has nuclear weapons. What could possibly go wrong in this scenario? I don't fucking know. So good on Tulsi. Good job. Here's a more recent article from September 20th. Kashmir Crisis, How to Read India's Threat to Pakistan. Remember, this is Narendra Modi. Earlier this week, India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar, a measured diplomat turned politician, said India expected to have fiscal jurisdiction over Pakistan-administered Kashmir one day. Ooh, this is good. Delhi and Islamabad both claim Kashmir in full, but control only parts of it. Territories recognized internationally as Indian-administered Kashmir, and Pakistan, excuse me, I'm so sorry about that. Pakistan-administered Kashmir, more than 4 million people live in 10 districts spread over an area of more than 13,000 square kilometers, or 5,019 square miles in the latter. To be sure, Mr. Jaishankar says was reiterating a stated Indian position on the disputed region. In 1994, the country's parliament adopted a resolution which demanded Pakistan must vacate the area of the Indian state of Jammu and Kashmir, which they have occupied through aggression. But many worry that this time there could be more to these utterances than what meets the eye. Since August, 3 key members of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's cabinet, foreign, defense, and home ministers have forcefully iterated that Pakistan-administered Kashmir and Aksai Chin, an icy wasteland claimed by India, are part of Jammu and Kashmir. The 3 are members of the high-powered Cabinet Committee on Security, the final decision-making body on India's national security. India has also said it may reevaluate its long-standing no first use of nuclear weapons. I'm just gonna...
Preventing nuclear war and...
What was that? What did you say?
War and nuclear proliferation change. Preventing nuclear war.
I'm sorry? Didn't quite get it the first time.
And the world. Issues like combating climate change. Preventing nuclear war.
Oh. And notice what she didn't say. And she hasn't said. Let's do this live. Let's just do this. Let's go ahead and type Tulsi Gabbard Kashmir. There's a whole lot of people replying at her and a whole lot of not her saying anything about Kashmir. Nope, nope, we're going back. We're going back. We keep going back. We're still looking for it. Are we seeing it? Have we seen Tulsi Gabbard's response on what's happening in Kashmir? Condemning them talking about using nuclear war in Kashmir. The anti-war candidate of Tulsi Gabbard has not said a goddamn word. A whole lot of people talking about how Tulsi hasn't said shit. That's what this is. Weird. But I keep hearing from Tulsi stands that she's the true anti-war candidate, and not Bernie Sanders. Not anyone else even. Not Elizabeth Warren. Oh, look. Look at this. That's in 2015. Let's just keep on going. We're going to keep on scrolling. See if we get the point yet. Anything? Nope. Nope. Not a single one with Tulsi addressing, people adding her. Tulsi has not addressed Kashmir at all. I could literally keep scrolling and you'll never see it. You'll see this. But you won't see her talk about the war crimes that India is doing in Kashmir. You won't hear anything about how they're talking about doing further war crimes in Kashmir, starting a war between them and Pakistan. But please keep telling me how much of an anti-war candidate Tulsi Gabbard is. Please. I'm going to make sure to clip this so that any time a Tulsi stan comes in to my mentions and decides to tell me how anti-war she is, I can just play this and go, oh, what was her response on Kashmir? Oh, right. She didn't have one. Now I'm just doing this for extra effect. But I mean, seriously. If you bought into the Tulsi train because she recognized where the Democratic Party was going, you have been rightfully duped. I'm sorry. You just were. You have to admit it. No one likes to admit that they were duped. I gotta change the thing real quick because I was gonna edit this last time, but I completely understand people's aversion to wanting to admit when they have to admit they were wrong about somebody. I get it. No one likes it. It's not a good feeling. But I mean, the thing about it is we've been telling Tulsi stans this from the beginning. This is who she is. This is who she's always been. You guys need to actually pay attention to her voting record. You guys need to actually look at what she's done. You need to actually pay attention so that you don't make a mistake in supporting somebody who is so incredibly wrong. Someone who is lying to you. You don't go from being an incredibly right-wing, pro-military, representative to all of a sudden switching to being a sock dem, basically. is what she's selling herself as. Selling herself as not a neoliberal. Meanwhile, she's still in the background, not even much in the background, honestly. She's still in the background doing the same neoliberal war hawk bullshit she's always been doing. The same shit she sold on Fox News when they interviewed her years ago. But please keep telling me how that person is better than Bernie Sanders. And I'm gonna steal a line from my boy Cole James Cash on this. Y'all just trying to get your dick wet. And to steal another line from him, she ain't gonna fuck you. You like looking at her on a surfboard? Cool. That's your own wank material. Beyond that, Tulsi Gabbard is a garbage candidate. She's lying to you. And not even in any sort of secretive way. It's all out in the open. Her support for Modi, her silence on Kashmir, tells you everything. And we tried to tell you. And I saw a lot of Tulsi stands in those replies that we were searching, saying, "Wow, this is really hypocritical of her." No fucking shit. Imagine somebody that people have been telling you for the past couple years, ever since 2016 when she made her progressive shift, that she's lying to you. And then figuring out that, hey, we've been right. Hey, maybe these people who are pushing for an actual progressive candidate, an actual socially democratic candidate, might be actually correct on this. And again, I get it. It is difficult to admit you're wrong publicly. Then don't do it publicly. Just shift your focus. Just stop talking about Gabbard. Stop promoting her. You don't have to make some big turn where you have to call yourself out. You know, if you don't want to, I get it. Like, that shit sucks, man. It's like we live in a very, very public world where you are heavily scrutinized by the public. Everything you post online is scrutinized by anywhere from just one person to millions, thousands, give or take. And one wrong move and you can be pounced on. And I get that. So then, no hot take. No, I was wrong. No, I didn't listen. Just heel turn. And stop supporting her. And support the real candidate who's actually pushing for legitimate change that you can actually trust to not get us in wars. Talking about Gabbard, to go back and watch. I have a lefty friend who keeps promoting her. I pointed out all the bad stuff about her, but he's undeterred. Yes. I'm going to clip this whole thing because let me tell you what I did, man. And good to see you, by the way. I went through. I'm going to do it again just for you, bud. So you can see I already had this. Ignore that other thing. Somebody added me and I was making sure they weren't porn. Guess what? They were porn. So I did this to see if Tulsi Gabbard has ever talked anything about Kashmir. If she's had any comment at all. Because in this video, she says,
issues like combating climate change, preventing nuclear war.
And meanwhile, over here, I read, the three are members of the high-powered cabinet. This is referring to the cabinet under Modi. high-powered cabinet committee on security, the final decision-making body on India's national security. India has also said it may reevaluate its long-standing no first use of nuclear weapons. This article was published September 20th. I guarantee that news got out before then. Before, either as he was coming here or before then. So she's planning on, what was it again?
Preventing nuclear war.
Then, you'd think she would have something to say about Kashmir. I'm doing this again for my buddy Bike. Because his buddy needs to see it. Oh, was that something? Was that... Oh, no, that didn't say anything about... That's defending Modi. As she can be seen doing several times. We're just going to keep going again. Doing it again for my buddy. And turn it up for your buddy in the back. You will not see one single tweet from Tulsi Gabbard on February 14th. And look at the way she frames it. That's even worse. Look at that. She says, now keep in mind, Kashmir is majority Muslim. Half is run by Pakistan, half is run by India. But India got rid of the part of their constitution that said that they were a sovereign state, basically. They could have their own constitution and pass their own laws. Imposed a bunch of restrictive curfews, block their trade, cut off their internet, cut off all communications from Kashmir. She has a lot to say about jihadists. Nothing to say about India. Let's read more of this article because it's interesting. I forgot I was going to do that. My friend knows Gabbard defends Modi. He says politicians sometimes have to do unsavory things. But Bernie's imperious light, he says, and Gabbard's the only anti-imperialist, according to my friend. I'm done trying to talk sense to him about this. Yeah. Tulsi stands, they're not reasonable. They just aren't. It's very sad to me. But, I think there's an extent that they like her right-wing policies. I honestly don't know. So, we'll go on. So is India merely upping the rhetoric weeks after stripping an Indian-administered Kashmir of its autonomy and days ahead of what many say a possible face-off with Pakistan at the UN? Across the border, Pakistan has also raised the ante on Kashmir. Or is it a serious threat to taking the region? By the way, and I pointed this out earlier, we know India has nukes. So does Pakistan.
Climate change, preventing nuclear war, and
empty fucking words. Both India and Pakistan, Pakistani leaders say things they don't mean to score political points. Hussein Haqqani, I'm sure I butchered that, former Pakistani ambassador to the U.S. told me. It is most likely that Indian politicians are making such statements to try to create a new issue to counter Pakistan's narrative over India's poor human rights record in Jammu and Kashmir. Not everyone is so sure. They point out that Mr. Modi has been following a muscular policy against Pakistan. In February, India launched air attacks against militants in Pakistani territory in response to a suicide attack in Kashmir which killed 40 Indian soldiers. Gabbard, of course, left that out in her tweet, but, whatever. The strikes were the first launched across the line of control, the de facto border that divides the region, since a war between the two countries in 1971. And in September 2016, Mr. Modi hit the headlines after ordering surgical strikes on militants across the same border. This was a response, India said, to an insurgent attack on an army base, which killed 18 soldiers. The recent Indian utterances on Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, as India prefers to call the region, must be taken seriously by anyone studying conflict escalation paths in the subcontinent, says, I'm going to butcher the fuck out of this, I know I am, Susani Haidar, diplomatic editor of the Hindu newspaper. Please excuse my uncultured American tongue. The two nuclear-armed rivals have already fought 2 wars and a limited conflict over Kashmir. Stephen Cohen of the Brookings Institution has... Oh, that's a good... That's good. Brookings is not good. Has argued that the fact that the two countries have more than 250 nuclear weapons between them has driven the conflict underground, with each side testing the patience of others and limits of deterrence. But there has been a major escalation in hostilities on the border this year, and the 2003 ceasefire has been under growing pressure in recent years. India's Home Ministry says there have been over 2,000 unprovoked ceasefire violations across the de facto border by the Pakistani army so far this year, in which 21 Indians have lost their lives. Pakistan says more than 45 people, including 14 soldiers, died in firing by Indian forces from across the border in 2019. So they're both doing it, supposedly. But one is a response. And would it be any shock to find out that the ones that eliminated the autonomy of Kashmir, the area of Kashmir that they controlled from their constitution and is threatening to use nuclear strikes, is the one that struck first? Would that shock anyone? It shouldn't. Ceasefire violations on the border, according to Hapiman Jacob. I have no idea if I said that correctly. Again, please excuse my terribly uncultured American tongue. A professor of diplomacy and disarmament studies at Delhi's I'm just going to say Nehru University because I know how to say that, can lead to political rhetoric, military posturing, and diplomatic standoff, which can lead to more ceasefire violations and even more escalation. Any which way, India has to exercise the military option to physically take Pakistan-administered Kashmir. Pakistan is not likely to give it away unilaterally or under any external pressure, of which there is very little. Such an Indian aspiration would seem very ambitious and long-term, Christopher Sneddon, author of Kashmir, The Unwritten History, told me. Not only such an ambition actually led to war, India would also need to provoke Pakistan into firing the first salvos so that Delhi could justify such a massive undertaking. So is this nothing more than a continuation of worrisome war of words between nuclear-armed neighbors? Ajay Shukla, again, excuse my tongue, a Delhi-based strategic affairs expert, believes India has a threefold strategy to taking up Pakistan-administered Kashmir. First, to divert attention from the grim reality in the Kashmir Valley, which has been in lockdown for more than a month now. Like I said, they've cut off all communications from them. They do not have internet there. Secondly, to unbalance Islamabad by diverting the international narrative on Kashmir. And thirdly, to create a sense of hopelessness in the minds of Indian Kashmiris and to convey the message, resistance is futile. Again, Kashmir is mostly Muslim. Tulsi Gabbard has nothing to say on this. Nothing. Except to condemn it and an attack that she refuses to admit was a response from what India did to Pakistan, because they basically are trying to annex Kashmir into the Indian state. And then what? Do you think the Muslims there get treated well? Do you think they get treated like citizens? I don't think so. They didn't treat them like citizens before. They just want the land. They want the control. That is who Tulsi Gabbard supports. And that is the thing that Tulsi Gabbard is not saying jack shit about. I don't know what to tell you. If you're Tulsi stan, like I said, you don't have to admit shit online publicly. All you have to do is stop supporting her and just change. You don't have to make a public change. You can just stop supporting her. You don't have to say shit. You can just literally just cut it off, stop, sit back, and go, oh yeah, now I support Bernie. And you don't have to say shit else. You know what? We'd be happy to have you. The actually anti-imperialist candidate, the actually progressive candidate, the actually changeative candidate. Reformative, excuse me. Changeative is not a word. God damn it. We'd love to have you. We won't judge you. Nico House, waiting on you, bud. Waiting on you.